It looks like we're live and you're good to go.
Okay. All right. Well, hi and welcome everybody to this meeting. If you don't remember me, I'm Diane Napier. And I do want to say one last time, thank you to Mike and Davin and Keith for filling in the gaps while I was in Kenya and Tanzania. I really do appreciate it. So I'm glad to be back and see everybody. And I see Frank Henning, whom I haven't met. I see that name. Jim, I haven't met you, and Peter Hughes, but I hope to meet you gentlemen sometime soon in person. So I guess without further ado, if you've all seen the agenda, it's pretty straightforward. We don't have a lot of new business. It's mainly just some good updates, hopefully. So any other introductions or points that need to be made? I'm not aware of. Hey, Robert, I see you, Robert.
I don't see anybody. I think Jim was new to the, I don't think he was on last month, and Frank either, but Peter was. I think Peter was.
Well, welcome, Jim. We hope to see you again. Hi, Peter. I'm Diane. Good to see you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. Maybe we'll cross paths in the hall for real one of these days.
I'm sure.
All right. Well, if you've had a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting, I checked them. They don't have any errors in them. They're nicely done. So thank you, Davin, for that, and whoever else helped. But let's deal with that first item of business, if you like. If you need a minute to look at the minutes, take a minute, or then we can call for a motion to have them approved. But let me know if you see any errors or additions, updates, changes. Hearing none, seeing none. Anybody? They look in pretty good shape. I think, Davin, you're in the swing now with these minutes. So, well, I'd like to call for a motion to approve the minutes as is, please, Keith. Okay, second? Craig? Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes as is, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Any nays? Abstentions? All right. That's the first item taken care of. Thank you. So, Mike, it's always you the one in the highlight.
All righty.
We'll listen to your updates with pleasure.
All right, here we go. So I've got, let's see, I'll share. Gonna share this here. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So this is February's financials. Let's look at the month to date. So sales for Avgas, we've got actual of 42,000. It's picking up. Our monthly projection was 50. So we're slowly creeping up to that. Now, of course, price of fuel is pretty high. So I don't know, probably won't probably see a decline in that coming up in the next few months. Jet A, we exceeded our monthly projections, and we've had a lot of charters. We've had a lot of corporate flying, which it's been great to see that they're flying. We've got the leases are right in line, concessions right in line, airport fees again very high because of the charters. A lot of the airplanes flying are heavy. There's the 737s and the Embraer 145s and 195s too. So a lot of those demand, of course, we demand more landing fees from them and ramp fees as well. And some are taking fuel, so that's good. So that's why our airport fees are so much higher. And again, I mention this every month, is that everybody seems to be flying as far as the athletics. We got softball flying now, but basketball, both UGA and the opposing teams were flying in and out. So that was a tremendous help to us in our revenues for the fees. And of course, when you have more fees, you got more credit card charges. So that goes hand in hand. So then looking down at the expenses, we've got our cost of goods on both avgas and jet. Airport administration, that's pretty much going to be in line now that Devin's on board and we're doing some things here. That's probably going to be in line. And then airport services, again in line. And airport maintenance is a little high. We've been, excuse me, we've been purchasing a few items out there since summer's coming on. We've been trying to do a lot of maintenance in the on both sides, the air side and um, the car side. And then general administration, that's just norm. So with that being said, our total revenue versus expenses is right at 61, and it's still looking good. We're bringing that revenue up on a year to date to 488, which I'm happy to see. Then if we go on down to our gallons sold, we've got our avgas gallons, 7,600 on the avgas for the month of February, and then jet 45,000 for the jet, which we're happy to see that too. And then the operations, they're staying steady pretty much. They came down from January, but we did have a lot of rain in February. And so I think that had a lot to do with that as far as corporate and especially the general aviation side as well. So looking at just some charts here, you can see our operations with those numbers. And then we've got Jet A sales and then our avgas sales. Any questions on the financials?
Mike, just what's your kind of usual question here? What's your outlook? We're about 3/4 through March. How you think we're doing with March?
I think we're doing pretty good in March. We we did have some basketball charters through probably mid-March, and then now we've got some I'm sorry, softball charters. A few this week. We've got quite a few next week, but they're flying 737s and they're bigger aircraft. So with them flying those aircraft, that just means our revenues, it'll definitely help our revenues. It's not, my opinion is we don't have the force behind it like basketball did, but they're still flying. I don't know if our revenues are going to be as high, on the airport fee side, as it was this month, because things are going to start declining a little bit. You've got you've got golf flying, but that's just a few. You've got baseball and softball coming. So it's not quite as strong as the basketball was, but I think it'll still be healthy. I really do.
Mike? I just wanted to ask you, I still will never forget that dreadful April 2 years ago, which, you talked about as the real low point. So in terms of recovery, I mean, now we're approaching April, how do you feel about sort of recovery looking back on the last 2 years?
It's been good, and I was pleased to see that. The recovery has been through fuel sales, of course, slowly increasing. It hasn't been anything drastic, but it's been slowly increasing and steady. I'm not excited to see what the fuel price is going to do to us. We look at our fuel prices every Tuesday. We get our price from our supplier, and we pretty much maintain a consistent margin. We just stay with that margin because that's what's paying the bills, and we know that's what works. We stay very competitive with other airports, but I'm telling you, lately, past few weeks, that price has been going up. I mean, normally it'll go up by, I don't know, 3-5 cents. I mean, we're talking 20 cents, 30-cent jumps. Luckily, we got to come down today. We came down on our fuel prices, and this was really the first week that we've got to see it come down. You know, at the pumps, we're getting what, 29-cent relief, I think, for our automobiles. Avgas has a 1-cent state tax, which they're looking into right now, and that'll probably, I mean, 1 cent, you know, okay, it's 1 cent, it helps, but they're looking at, you know, giving some relief in Avgas for that 1 cent. But still, you know, we kept our margin and we came down today. Um, and a good it was a good considerably jump down. So I'm hoping that helps too. But I hate to see it go up. I really would, of course, want to see it come down so that, you know, traffic will continue to fly and everybody enjoy, you know, what they love to do.
Mm.
But yeah, right now with the price of fuel, it's kind of disheartening to see it jump up and know that general aviation is going to slow down a little bit because of it.
Okay.
Okay. So moving on to capital improvement project updates. So we've been pretty active. Chris Lowry and Holt, you know, we've been active lately with the localizer project. We had our final inspection yesterday. We had GDOT out here. We had Holt. We had Pond, who's a subcontractor electrical, and then of course the contractor. And we looked at the the localizer. Everybody's satisfied with the work that was done. So GDOT's happy with it as well. One thing that does have to be done is we have to they have to finish up the fine tuning and then get the FAA out here to do a flight check. That's probably going to be done in a couple weeks. So then it'll be up and running. We found out that we were hoping it has to be painted. The structure, if you've ever seen this structure, it looks like a Six Flags roller coaster. I mean, it's huge. It's made out of wood and it's huge. And so it has to be painted or you know, protected somehow, that wood does. So we were hoping that we could just do a you know, like a stain of some sort of brown stain. But the FAA said, no, you know, what you got to do is what's, you know, what's in the regulations, and that's to paint it. And the paint scheme is orange and white. Okay, it's not red and black or red and white. Unfortunately, Robert, it is orange and white, and I guess it just stands out better. But so we were trying to get away from that, but the FAA said, no, you got to do it right. So we're letting that wood cure a little bit through the summer, and then they're going to come back and paint it. And so that's the localizer side. As far as the taxiway alpha, if you remember, we were having some issues where we, you know, dug down and we were hitting rock, and we didn't hit water line, but we saw the water line and it was right in our way. It wasn't deep enough, you know, for us to pass over it. So we thought we'd have to relocate it or dig it down deeper. But there's so much rock out there. You know, the price tag was like almost $2 million, you know, to blast and to lower that water line. So what we decided to do is just ask the FAA if we could just build dirt up, you know, instead of digging so far down, just build the dirt up to eliminate the you know, hitting any of those rocks or anything, and pretty much bring it up to where the water line, the top of that asphalt was for the water line. FAA said, yeah, you know, we could do that. So we're in the middle of redesign right now. It's going to be much cheaper, and honestly, I think we'll get a good product out of it too. So we looked at that yesterday with GDOT and Chris with Holt. One of the things we're going to do is that we're going to do something internally. We're going to get a backhoe and we're going to test a few areas to see if there's any rock in those areas. That'll save us some money in this project. And our new maintenance fellow, Justin, is going to work the backhoe and then make sure that we'll identify the places where there is rock. And then we can kind of go from there, and then give that information to Chris, and they can finish up the redesign. So everybody seems to be on board. GDOT hasn't committed to helping us, but they have said that they're gonna try to help us, with that funding. The good thing is hopefully we've got some money, in the project, maybe some savings that will cover all of this expense. I think either way, what we should be good. I don't think we'll have anything that comes out of our pocket as long as everything works well on that front. On the 220 project, GDOT, of course, is still wanting to give us some money to rehab that runway. We went out there yesterday and looked at it, and since GDOT was here, they wanted to look at it. Chris went out, and we identified some potential pluses, actually. Because the Earth shifts, the magnetic declination, the runway designation 220 is kind of changed now to more like 321, runway 3, runway 21. So we're thinking during this project, it might be good to go ahead and make that change right now. So we're probably going to redesignate that runway, and that would entail us, after we pave, to change the panels and some of the signs, and also pavement markings as well. So, if we're going to be doing this project, now's the time to do it. Not that, a year, 2 or 3 later, we've got to sandblast the numbers off and then it just looks ugly. So if you're spending this kind of money on something, GDOT's fine with it. Chris has been working hard on that. And I know that when we do the construction phase services, Peter Hughes and RSNH will be doing that part of it. So it'll be a collaboration, of all of us kind of getting involved in this project. But I think it's going to be a good project, man. We drove that runway, and I keep forgetting how terrible that runway is. There's so many cracks in it. It's unbelievable. It definitely needs some attention. And goodness, am I missing anything? There's so much to report on that. Anything on your end, Chris?
No, bid opening is next Thursday,
Yeah.
your first, for 220.
Yeah, that's on 220. And that was one of the things that GDOT was pushing for, to hurry up and do, because they have the money. Well, they want to get us the money on this upcoming grant cycle. As far as marketing and outreach activities, Monday I'll be going out west, and I'll be talking to the American, United, Breeze, and Avilo. And I think my dates when I'm supposed to be talking to them is Thursday. And I think it's morning and carries into the afternoon. But I'll get to spend some time with all of the airlines there, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And I'll get to hear their state of the airline, address, more or less, from each of them, and to kind of get an idea of what they're thinking, for their future. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'll report on that. I won't wait till next month. I'll report on that as soon as I get back. And also, what I want to do is send the authority members the presentation that I'll be doing. I've got that in hand, and I've got that electronically, so I'll send that out to all of you so you can look at it as well. Not much has changed as far as the presentation, except, of course, those airlines have different destinations and, that they go to. So, when we do make presentations, we kind of focus on their destination, compared to what our market study says, how it ranks, in our market study. But anyway, I'll send that to you all. And then ClearPoint, I'll let Davin talk a little bit about that, because he's been working hard on that.
Yeah, so we have updated the ClearPoint software, and so which y'all excuse
we obviously are making some sales out there, but so that's pretty much updated. We probably need to take a closer deep dive look at that. And at some point in time, I can send out, Diane has reviewed it, and I can send out the update that she has provided as well, so I can do that. But if there are any questions, let me know.
Looks good so far, Davin.
That's all I had for my update.
Okay. Thank you, Keith. Not Keith, Davin and Mike. So any questions or comments about all those good updates from anybody, or shall we move on? Okay. Well, under old business, as you know, in the next section, we've got potential update from Robert on our efforts to connect with the Clarke County School District. So Robert, I'll ask you just to give us some thoughts and update on that.
Sure. Nothing has changed really from the last report I gave, except that I continue to make it known that we're available as a destination within this community. But I think as much a drawback as anything else is the, how should I say, inability for the school system to have the personnel and the bus drivers and the buses to do those type of things. So, you know, they're trying not to say no, but they're saying, no, we can't do it right now because we just don't have the resources within to get our kids about. We're doing as best we can to pick them up in the AM and get them home in the PM, as far as that is concerned. So the field trips, you know, they're trying to say, yes, we'll get you in here, but I'm still looking. It may be something after spring break, their spring break. I'll keep pushing and seeing if things open up. And if they have some, how should I say, possibilities of getting some out. And I've even gone to a couple of individual schools to kind of follow up and say, you know, there's a destination if you want to take a field trip. And they said, yes, but we can't go right now. So I'm still working towards getting some bodies at Ben Epps from the Clarke County school system.
Well, we have to say thank you, Robert, for your persistence, you know, and your devotion to that effort. And I guess they're looking for a new superintendent.
Correct.
That
is a part of it.
instability.
The other superintendent has been ill, but she's still trying to work within the administration of what's going on. But then when at the top, you're looking for new leadership, you really don't want to come in and rock the boat and push some buttons that over the last 2 years haven't been pushed towards things. So they're trying to maintain status quo down the ranks.
And if I can just add real quickly, Alton Brunt, our firefighter, right before this meeting came in and said that that Gaines School, he's gotten an ask from Gaines School Elementary to have 75 third graders come in. So Robert, I think that's probably from your work of encouraging folks, but just kind of report that possibility is most likely going to happen in the next couple of weeks.
And that is great. And I don't know if you all know the school district and Gaines School, they could almost walk on a field trip to the airport, but you know, if they caught the right traffic lights and everything. So that's wonderful.
That's marvelous. We need to make sure that gets in the written record, you know, and look forward to it happening, and then publicize it when it does, photographs and so on. So your persistence has paid off, even on that score, Robert. So we really do appreciate your efforts. So any other thoughts on that? I mean, I think that's wonderful, given all the instability and, you know, the obstacles they are facing. You know? So if we publicize it, you know, maybe the Gaines School example will you know, feed the interest of some others.
I will surely make note of it and make sure the other schools and principals and administrators that I've talked with know that. So, because I think it's even coming to a point where they want to go somewhere, they're looking to go somewhere, and then they're saying, where do I go? And so I will then re-emphasize, we have somewhere for you to go. Stay close to home.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
And I say this not as an aside, but as something, what I'm living in and what I'm going through now, particularly in Athens-Clarke County. I don't want to, it's not an announcement, but it's a statement of how things are opening back up and people are getting out. My middle son works downtown, and he told me business this weekend was the best it has been in 2+ years, as far as people coming through the door and doing things and everything. So how do I best say this? Citizens want to get out and about. And so I'm sure the schools are experiencing, children would love to get out and about also. So hopefully we can be one of those spots.
Yeah, that's great news.
Yeah.
I agree. You know, we even saw that overseas with foreign visitors, that and people saying people are just tired of being cooped up. You know, they want to get back out. So this is actually a very critical time for us to look at, you know, initiatives like that, as well as potential events and things. You know, there's an opportunity opening up here. Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you again, Robert. Keep on it.
I will.
All right, if we move on to the next item on the annual report, and I know, you know, I'm catching up with the rest of you. I only saw for the first time when I got back, you know, the now printed and being distributed glossy copy, which I think is really a nice product. So I don't know if there's any new business on this, or Mike, you just want to give an update, or you and Davin, or Keith. I just like to say, I think it's a very nice product. It's certainly an improvement over last year's, and I think it's a good model for, you know, for updating in subsequent years. But Mike, you want to give us a thought or two on the distribution process?
Yeah, I gave it last month as well, but we continue to put it out there. Davin has gotten some instruction, you know, on Facebook and all of that. And I think on the website, or is that coming up, Davin, on the website? Yeah, so he'll be able to put that out there, and we'll continue to do that. Where Davin and I are meeting now, I will say this, and I should have said this earlier, meeting now with some of the chamber committees, subcommittees, and committees, one being economic development. So, you know, the more we get out, the more we're gonna bring that annual report with us and share it. So, you know, that's a good thing. At least we have something in hand to give out, and that's what we need.
Has it been given to the all members of the commission and the mayor and everybody downtown?
I don't think we have done that yet, have we? Have we? Okay. Yeah, that's something we need to do.
No,
'Cause
not yet.
we did that last year.
And just, you know, should we mail that to them? Is there,
No, what you'll do is you'll get it to Jean,
okay,
and Jean will distribute it to them during one of their meetings. Have it on their desk, pretty much. And that's what she's done in the past. So that's the best route.
Okay. Any comments or other thoughts on that annual report? I guess we'll have to start again in when, October?
It's
And
coming
the
up.
next one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you said that the printer and the lady that did the formatting, you know, now are sort of ready to go for an update. You know, it's sort of
Yeah, they got it under the belt now. They know how to do it. And we all do. So that's good. It should flow a whole lot easier next time.
very good. All right, can we move to the next new business? The only thing under that is the issue of events, if there are any updates. David, Craig, I don't know if you have an update on any event that occurred in the last month, anything? Okay.
Just continued with the regular hot dog flying has continued. The next one I want to say is this coming weekend. And then in April, the UGA club has their annual spring fly-in. Is a large event. I meant to get Craig and Robert together on some operations, cleaning up some stuff, but I got too busy. So Craig Robert, expect an email from me to figure out when we can meet and just talk about some, you know, a laundry list of things that I'd like to see our committee get on top of, and then we'll bring those to the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, David, because that jogged my memory on this other thing too. Um, if I might, Diane,
Yeah.
we've got a we have got a hangar here that Greg Cole owns, and he's one of our tenants here, longtime tenant. It's a corporate hangar. He's wanting to sell it, and most of those leases have an assumable lease, which is pretty easy. You know, the lawyers get together and they do their thing. But there's a company here that's leasing from him that wants to buy it, and they've got a nice sized jet in there. It brings a lot of fuel. Probably our best customer we got on the airport. It's I think I can't remember how many years are left on that lease, but I want to say probably 23, but I might be wrong. Maybe 18, I'm not sure. But anyway, he wants to bring it back. Our normal lease term is 20 years plus 5 years plus 5 years, and that equals, of course, 30. He wants to bring it up, or they do want to bring it back up to 30 years if they purchase this hangar. And because it's not just an assumption, you know, with lawyers and lawyers, that there is some changes to it, I wanted to bring it to you guys to just make sure everybody here was okay with that. I talked to David about it already, and they do bring a lot of revenue to us, a lot of property tax. I mean, the aircraft, the jet they own is probably a $50 million jet, so it brings a lot of property tax to Athens-Clarke County. It brings a lot of fuel to us. I'm personally okay with, you know, increasing it to that amount again. Um, and but they'll be responsible, of course, for maintenance of the hangar and all of that. And then after that 30 years, you know, unless something changes, they'll revert to us. But you know, David and I talked about it, and talked to Davin about it as well. But I just wanted to bring it to the authority as well, and just make sure everybody's fine with it, or if they have concerns with it as we move forward. Because right now, where it stands is the lawyers are getting involved. We're getting with Athens-Clarke County lawyers, with the request, and they're working through all of the details and whatnot. But this is kind of the time, I guess, that needs to come to you folks as well.
So, Mike, is this just a point of information, or do you need a sort of formal support
I
from
think a formal vote would be good. Yeah. That you know, that that the authority is okay with the increase in time, you know, on this purchase. And I think, David, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's really all we're looking at, is just that would be the only change. The rate, what I have in there is that the remaining rate would stay at the same rate it is now. Of course, you know, that's the way it would be if it was assumed. But then when that time runs out, the new time would take the new rates, whatever the rates would be then, would take over. And so we'd be getting, of course, more money. Now, we might be getting more money with the rate the way it is now, and we do have an increase every so often, you know, with the super price index. So I would say whatever is greater, you know, the rate then with the old rate, or the new rate, whatever is greater is what we would, you know, what would kick in with the new term starting, you know. But those are the two things that I would look at, I guess, from you. Maybe a vote to see if you guys are good with it.
So, Mike, you're saying, so we've got longer term that we're locked in with in this, which is good. And as long as we have that CPI adjustment ability that you're saying to protect us,
Yeah.
I mean, what is any downside? I mean, it sounds
Honestly,
like, yeah.
honestly, I don't see a downside other than, you know, that if it held to where it is now, it would revert to us. But then if you think about that, then we're responsible for the maintenance. We're responsible for the upkeep, you know. sure we'll make more money on the lease, per month. But and you have to kind of, the way I always looked at it in Floyd County was, what do they bring to the table? Is it worth it? And this company brings a lot to the table, because they have one turbine, which they use a lot. They have a helicopter, and they also have this jet. So they bring a lot of fuel to the table. They bring a lot of property tax to the table. And of course, they'll have to maintain it, so we won't have to put our money into that part of it. And but as far as revenues to the airport, and then of course the lease rate per month, that comes as well. I think with all of that said, we'd probably make more on fuel sales than we would on a monthly rate if it was ours. So I think in the end, that's probably the benefit, of letting them do it.
So Mike, can you just remind us what the old rate is and what the new rate is, just for purposes of the record?
What was the old rate, Devin, in that? I can't remember. The new rate is 42 cents per square foot. And I think the old rate was it 18? Was it 18? I can't remember. I kind of caught Davin off guard.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if we need a formal vote, I think we need to make sure,
Yeah.
the basic facts are in the record.
While
Yep.
Davin's looking at that, Mike, roughly the size of the facility? You say it's 42 cents a square foot?
Yeah, I don't have that. I don't have it in
Okay.
front of me. But
And I'm not sure what the square foot price is, but Cole is currently paying $793.33 a month is what they are currently paying.
793?
Yep, 793.33 a
Okay.
month. And I can
Okay, so we can extrapolate. Okay.
be able to do that real quickly here.
But really, I mean, it's without getting in the weeds as far as money goes, really, I'm just looking for that we increase the length of the time, and then that we increase the rate at the time, whatever the rate's going to be, because it's not going to be 42 cents whenever that time is up. It's probably going to be higher.
Mm-hmm.
So, just in general, I would say just whatever the approved rate is at the time that the mayor and commission approves, that's what we need to use.
Okay, so we'll need a motion for this, though.
Yeah, those two items. Yeah, to move forward.
And somebody will need to word that.
Yeah,
So you're saying that you're going to set a new rate and that rate adjusts by CPI periodically?
Yeah. So when the old rate ends, and that old rate is no longer, then yes, and even with the old rate, we continue to increase that old rate by the CPI every 5 years, I think is what we do on this lease. And then and then when the old rate and the old lease ends, then the new rate will kick in, and then we'll continue to do the CPI increases with that new rate too.
All right. We need a vote. We need a
well,
motion.
hold, pause, please. My concern with this, that I expressed to Mike the other day, was that, all of that sounds great, provided that the tenant remains the tenant through the through the existing term and through and the extension. In not so distant past, we've had situations where the airport has experienced shackled hangars because the person holding the rights to the hangar is no longer utilizing the hangar, and the airport had no clawback ability. So prior to giving a blanket sure go ahead sort of say so here, I don't feel comfortable, and given my 5 years on this board, I don't think that I feel comfortable for those 5 years, nor.
And you're right. that's something we did talk about, and I forgot that. And we put this in a lease actually in Rome, is that if they decided to sell that hangar to somebody else, all that new extension would go away.
Yeah, I
And
just
then
feel
they go
like
back to the old is what
I
they
feel
did.
I feel like make any motion to give any say so by the authorities' point of view. Um, we need a lease in hand, and short of that, we can talk about what we want the lease to say.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we can do that too. Like I say, the lawyers are working on that. So, we can get that. We might have to have a called meeting because he's wanting it pretty dang quick, but we can do that.
yeah, and
Something.
I would be fine. I certainly, as a business owner, I certainly don't want this advisory board to hold up business. I understand how frustrating that can be and how costly it can be. I am fine having an ad hoc meeting to discuss whatever lease is presented at any time so they can move forward. But until we see a lease, us to just give blanket approval to something that's going to potentially handcuff the airport to somebody that's themselves handcuffed the building, and may no longer exist. That outlives all of us and our time.
Yeah.
Our
It's a
time on
long
this.
time.
So I just that's my problem with it. That until we see how it's actually written by whatever attorneys are involved with writing the lease, I don't
Yeah,
think
that's
we can
fine.
prove anything.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. So we'll
Please
just get with
suggest
the
something
attorney.
as chair. I need to say, I'm also keen to support whatever, initiatives come forward like this, but frankly, I'm not really comfortable rushing to a motion
Yeah.
on something without more basic information. And if that extends all the way to a lease or a draft lease, fine. But at the absolute minimum, what I was going to suggest is that unless there's some emergency for it, it needs to be tabled till the next meeting so that we can actually have some of the basic information in front of us in writing, and that we have a little bit better understanding of what the terms are. I think David's point is well taken.
Yeah, I agree with you.
just with that, I understand completely the time is of the essence nature. So if this is something that can be dispersed via email and we could call some sort of special meeting to get settled, that
Yeah, it can be done.
That would
that
be fine
that
with me.
I would make myself available for that, just because I understand how important it is in my case. In my personal business, I've dealt with holdups for meetings, and there could be large stakes of money being held up here, and we shouldn't be doing that bureaucratically for no good reason.
No, I totally get it, guys. So I'm totally good with it. So let me do this. I'm going to be gone next week. So it probably, we wouldn't have, Davin can work on this with the lawyers and get the lease going. And then so let Davin take care of that next week. And then what I'll do when I get back, I'll review it. We'll send it out to you guys and everybody, and then we'll get back. I know they're in a hurry to get things done, because they have lawyers that are involved in all that. But I totally get what you're saying. I totally understand, and I agree with you. So then we'll probably have a call meeting. I'll get with you, Diane, and then we'll have a call
That's
meeting
fine.
maybe in 2 weeks or so. And then
I think that sounds like a good plan. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, just to be completely proper, I'm withdrawing the request for a motion.
Yeah.
Okay. And we'll go ahead with that plan instead. And by
Yeah,
then,
that'd be good.
the information can be in front of the authority. So if we give you a vote of support, it can be based on, concrete information.
Yeah, that's great. That's good. I think that'll work out good.
Okay.
I want you guys to feel comfortable with it for sure.
All right. Any other thoughts about that? Keith, you looked like you were going to say something, and your hand got lost in the exchange.
Yeah, no, I'm okay. I'm good with it. We can go through more details when we have the called meeting or the, yeah.
Okay.
Well, at this point, I mean, if there is some verbiage that we think should be in the terms of the lease, we probably should discuss that now so it can be in there before we see the lease, like things. I mean, they're a good customer, but can we lock them into being a good customer? Can we increase the amount of their ground lease and it give them a certain allowance of fuel per month? So that if they stop flying, we're still locked into what we're getting now as far as revenue goes. And then they
Yeah.
can sell the hangar, and if they want to get out of the fuel commitment,
And there's a lot to think about there, but what I would say is let's discuss that offline, and anything you guys can think of, let me know, and we can certainly work it out.
Well, I think
Some of the things Craig has mentioned, I actually put some of that wordage in a lease in Rome because of what David's saying, because people just leave and then that
Yeah.
hangar's just there. But so I think we did have certain gallons, I guess, that they had to at least hit, in order to make it. But this particular one, like I say, it's assumable. I mean, they could easily assume it. It's in that contract right now without having an increase of anything. All they have to do is just get with their lawyers and assume it. But with this, it does throw a little bit of kink in it when he wants to, extend the time and all of that. But yeah, let's definitely think about all of that, like what Craig's saying, and then shoot me some emails with some of your ideas. And we'll include everybody in the email chain.
Any other thoughts? I think those assurances or qualifiers, we sound like we agree on the need to have those revealed and explained. What are the assurances, and is there an escape clause?
Yeah, because we've been burned. When I first got here, we've been burned with two hangars that have just sat empty for a long, long time. David and Craig know that, and so we definitely don't want to get in a situation like that. So I'm open to anything. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, then we should look for some exchange by email with everybody involved.
Mike, I know you have a good relationship, Mike, with a lot of the other airport managers. Rather than trying to reinvent any wheels, maybe worthwhile to reach out to some of them to see what kind of favorable lease terms they've recently been offering, and how to navigate these waters, since this is the first time we're really dealing with this in a number of years.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking too, as we were talking. That's why I think, let me do that, and then I can get some ideas as well, and we can all, collaborate together.
Yeah, we don't need to invent new strategies necessarily,
Yeah.
but we want to protect, my goal for these two terms on this board is to leave the airport in a better place 20, 30 years from now than we found it, 5-10 years ago. And we don't want to wrap future authorities and future directors, and the future upper executives at the county into an agreement that is unfavorable to the airport.
Nope.
Mike, what's the connection with the city manager or the local leadership? Are you autonomous in this sort of decision, or is there some connection with them we need to also consider?
Well, once you guys approve, it in some form, it will go to it'll go downtown. I think it'd just be the mayor or maybe mayor and commission, but depends on how much it is. But I think it just go to the mayor for his signature.
Well, I think then all the more reason why we're agreeing on the plan, though, to get the information straight and actually do it if it's going to have to be a formal vote of support, we need to do it, systematically and thoroughly.
Yeah.
So, okay. And this, the essence of this discussion will appear in the minutes as well as part of the record.
Yeah, I think that's all good.
Okay. Any other thoughts before we can move on? Okay. All right, well, the only real other item is any other issues and updates from the standing committees. Some of that we've sort of covered already, but let me just ask, business and finance, Keith, any updates? Also planning?
No, not anything.
Okay. David, operating, you or Craig, anything there?
No, sorry. I guess I jumped the ball when you asked me about events.
It's all right.
All of this,
Yeah.
move all of this down to there. All of that aforementioned stuff down here.
Okay.
But
It's
yeah,
all right.
Craig, Robert, and I will convene to discuss some operational stuff that we want to that's been, I think, bugging everybody probably, but we'll bring that up at a future meeting after we, come to some discussion on it ourselves.
Okay, if you would CC me on that, if it's going to be a committee meeting or discussion, just for my information,
Sure.
that would be great. All right, and then air service development and marketing. Mike, I guess you maybe gave us some of the update earlier when you talked about your upcoming trip and the like.
Yeah. So we're excited about going. I am, and seeing what comes out of it.
So you're going in person. It's not going to be on WebEx. I
No,
remember you
last
saying.
year it was WebEx, yeah, or
Yeah.
Zoom last year. This year it's back in person again.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Yeah,
better.
I know it.
Any other comments or updates? Anything brand new business, not mentioned before? Extraneous, random, nothing? Okay. Well, it appears that our next meeting will be on April the 26th, but we'll be active between now and then with this issue that Mike has brought to us. So without any other business, I can ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Greg? Okay, thank you. Second?
Second.
Was that David?
It was.
I think so.
Okay. All right, all in favor of adjourning? Say aye. Thank you.
Hi.
All right. Well, I guess we'll be in touch by email about the issue of the lease or the questions surrounding it, and we'll work on the minutes. And so thank you all for your participation, and have a good afternoon. What's left of it, it's nice and sunny.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. See you all.
Everybody.
Good to be back with all of you.
Good to have you back.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye.